Well, hi everybody. So today I'll be going over the SC Designs F-16. This one's going to be a little bit different of a format. There won't be any startup or really how-to stuff in this one. This is mainly just going to focus on the review of the F-16. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, well here we are inside the cockpit of the F-16. It does not look that good. The model quality isn't altogether terrible. I think what messes most of this up is actually the texture quality. Now, there are some exceptions to that. The stick over here, or the throttle over here, really doesn't look very good at all. And if we move over here to the sort of center pedestal thing here, this is pretty much just two-dimensional. The instruments don't have any depth to them. I mean, it really looks something more like FSX or a rather old sim than it does, than it should, at least, I think, at least in my opinion. The stick isn't all that great. It's better than the throttle, but it's still not that great. The HUD up here, you don't have any glass. You can't see the glass of the HUD, so which you should be able to see, so or at least a little bit. Now, I'm not super familiar with the F-16, so as far as I can tell, most of the systems do seem to work, at least anything that's not associated with, weapons or something like that. You're not going to be able to eject, sort of things like that. But, I guess a little bit of fairness is this thing does tend to look a little bit better depending upon the time of day that it is in here. But I really think most of the problem is just the texture quality. Some of it is the model, like it's not very smooth around some parts, but I think if they improve the textures and fixed all these instruments here, it would be a little bit better. Now the oddly enough, the HUD does look really good, and so do the multifunction displays here. It's really easy to read, it's really easy to see, and the screens actually came out pretty good. So it just seems like it needs some improvement. But the sounds aren't terrible, maybe with the exception of closing the canopy here, which to me sounds like a RC plane servo. I mean, I never have closed the canopy of an F-16, but I can't imagine that it sounds like that. So we'll go hop outside the plane, look around the exterior of it, and which I will say does look better than it does in here. But it still doesn't look all that great. Well, here we are. I will say that I think the exterior model does look a lot better than the interior. I guess the model in the interior isn't all that bad. It's just there's some things that look really weird. The texture out here is much better than in the interior, but the sort of seams and the rivets and everything, they are not modeled. It is just a texture. And it becomes pretty apparent when you get up close to it. Now, you really won't ever get this close to it, at least in the external camera. It doesn't really zoom in this much. You'll only get this close if you get up close to it with the drone camera. Some of the seams, though, they aren't very smooth. Some of them are, so it's kind of a hit or miss thing. The fan blades and the turbine in there, it doesn't look very good. I will say that when it's running, it doesn't look half bad, so it's got that going for it. You do get some extra stuff, like you get the missiles and the tanks, and covers for the plane shocks and the ladder and stuff like that. And in all honesty, it doesn't look too bad when you're at a distance. It's just when you're up close. So we'll go hop in the air real quick, kind of fly it around, let you hear the sound of it. And I will say that pretty much the high point of this plane is flying it around. It's actually quite a bit of fun to fly. Alright, well, I decided to do this at night because I thought it'd be kind of neat to look at the night lighting of the plane. Everything's fairly easy to read. I will say that the some of the things in here at night when it's lit up don't look nearly as bad as it does during the day. But as far as reading everything goes, it's pretty easy to read and all that. So go ahead here and take off. It is going to get really hard to hear me talk because I didn't turn the volume down, so this is going to get kind of loud. Well, not really loud, but it's going to be... I don't want to yell over the engine of this thing, so I'm just really not going to talk. I will say that the reflections in the canopy here look pretty good. Some of you can't really see because the landing light's on right now. But I'll take off here real quick and hop into the exterior view and kind of let you hear it, and then that'll probably be it for flying it around. Alright, we'll hop out in the exterior view here real quick. See the afterburner and everything. Now, I did think this was kind of neat, so when you break the sound barrier and you hear in front of the plane, it's all nice and quiet. And the afterburner doesn't look all that great, but you know, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I will say it does look better at night than it does during the day. That's probably not a good thing. Alrighty, well, I think I honestly think this is overpriced. It's about $33. I know I've already covered the model and texture quality, but I think that's where this plane really suffers. The model quality is okay. It's much better than the texture quality. But I really think it's the textures that make this plane look bad. The exterior, again, I think suffers mainly from poor texture quality. And it really becomes apparent on the seams and the rivets for some of the panels and everything. Now, to be fair, most planes in Microsoft Flight Simulator don't have modeled seams. Most of them are just textures. However, the F-16 does not really do a good job of hiding this. It's not all bad, though. Its flight model might not be a high-fidelity representation of the F-16, but it is stable, quite fun to fly around, and it is reasonably predictable. The sound quality is okay. It's not great. There are some things that don't sound right, and but some of the sounds are pretty good. The overall quality of the sound is good. Now, what I mean by that is the actual audio quality of it, not the realism of the sound effect. The effects that have been included when breaking the sound barrier, I thought were pretty neat, and really wasn't expecting it. And it is always nice when they attempt to kind of do stuff like that, even if it doesn't come out perfect. Again, there are limitations to what you can't do, or what you can and cannot do in the SDK for this thing. So, overall, it's not a terrible plane, but I don't really think it's worth the money. I would wait either until they go back and they make some improvements to the model and texture quality, or it goes on sale. Now, I know I've ragged on the textures in this thing quite a bit, but this is the last thing I am going to say about them. really, in all honesty, in certain lighting, it doesn't look that bad. And I don't really hate the plane. I quite like flying it, and I really do hope that they improve it because I think it could be a really good one. However, in its current state, I would really wait for it to go on sale. So anyway, that's pretty much it for today, guys. So thanks for watching.